Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk Part 2. This will get you through mainly the Friday event that we've been talking about, and that's the one that everyone's been talking about more than the one tomorrow. If you want to know more about tomorrow, by the way, keep in mind there is a post I did earlier, so make sure to check that out for the very latest on data on that. Okay. Recap again, temperature right now 23 degrees here in Louisville. Dew points in the single digits, so very dry air. Anytime the temperature and the dew point are far apart, the atmosphere is dry. And we're going to see that number go up. The dew point number is going to go up gradually throughout the morning time period. But as moisture is getting thrown at us from the west, initially, it's going to look like a lot of snow moving in. But keep in mind, a lot of that's going to be virga or precipitation that doesn't reach the ground. And we usually say that's a snow eater. It eats the snow alive before we can saturate. So that's why I think the northern areas especially, and along and east of 65, are going to have a little more of a challenge on snow total forecast because of that initial dry air. It's how quickly we get that dew point up. The models say it's going to go up, but the models are not always right in these scenarios. So we got to trend it, and we'll try to verify it as the models initialize here for tonight and keep you updated. All right, so here is the clouds already beginning to increase from the west. These are very high, thin clouds, by the way. Here's tonight, or late tonight, tomorrow system moving in already. So far, reports are generally less than an inch in many areas, but there have been some spots here we're picking up about an inch or two across Missouri and Iowa. And most of that will hold true as it moves to the east, but there is going to be some enhancement in the moisture fields in this area, and that's the reason why higher totals are expected, especially for western and southern Kentucky as it moves on through, hence the winter storm warning that is in effect. Meanwhile, here's our system for Friday. It's getting sampled tonight. It's in the upper air network. Fully expect to see some really good agreement and some shifting going on for the 0Z data or the late night data. The first model run will be at 8:45 is when it'll start. That'll be the NAM model, and then GFS will be after that. We've got to wait till later tonight after midnight for the Euro to catch up. Either way, I think tonight's late night model runs are going to have some shifting going on, so make sure to watch Kevin and them at that time. So here it is, the system. Now Thursday itself, the models are saying we're going to get 36 to 38. That is possible. It will depend on how much snow we got from the system tomorrow. If we get 2-3 inches of snow, then you have to shave off a few degrees off this number, which will play a role into Friday. But if we get very little snow, then it's going to be a lot easier for 38 to be realized, which means there could be some areas that lose the snow entirely. It makes it a distant memory from Wednesday. It's a possibility. Now, for those of you in the warning area, you have a better chance to hold on to the snow, and therefore your numbers there, 40, 42, will not be realized. And that's important because this sets the stage then for Friday morning. It begins to move the southern system in. It's shown freezing rain initially, maybe some sleet mixed in with that in our southern counties. Quickly goes over to snow. Temperatures drop as the rates pick up. You increase the rates, you can cause the dynamic cooling to take place, and then you get some heavier snow. But notice how thin, look how narrow of a band we are talking about potentially for a heavy band accumulating snow, and then you get it to the mix, and then all rain to the south. This is a tight gradient here. We got to really, really watch. There's a lot of margin for error on this, and that's why we're not doing a snow map and forecasting snow totals yet. There's just too much room for error on this. I would not go to Vegas and bet on this map anyway. And then it continues. But notice what the RPM is doing here, this model. It is showing a dry slot that enters southern Kentucky. We see this a lot in deformation bands. You're going to get a dry slot that will develop. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, could that dry slot work its way all the way into Louisville and Frankfort? Yeah, that is possible. I'm not going to say no. Obviously, that would severely damage snow totals as far as cutting them down compared to expectations, and then probably enhance the snow a little more west of the dry slot in southwest Indiana. So a lot of questions still on how this is going to set up, and it's ever changing. So as the model data comes into better agreement tonight, now that's being sampled, we should see some better stuff. So just stay tuned for that. And then the snow end. All right. Right now, we're going to see the best chance for significant snowfall. When I say significant, I'm talking about several inches of snow. No, it doesn't mean a foot of snow. I'm saying several inches. I'm not going to give a number. Better chance for lighter snow north, but although if you're not lighter zone of snow, keep in mind you could still see that shift. If that dry slot works in, that deformation band may work its way into your area. So keep that in mind. More of a chance for icing to take place before you go to snow in our southern counties, but again, that's all questionable as we head into time. Here's the latest on the models. Here's GFS, Euro, and the Canadian. And here are the ensembles for each of these. One thing I want you to notice, a lot of them agree as we head into early on Friday morning that rain snow line is awful close to Louisville. They all pretty much agree on that. They all got the surface low in a general spot. It's like Nashville or Jackson, Tennessee, just south of there, closer to the Alabama border here on the Euro, and a little broader low right over Memphis. The ensemble is a little further south on the GFS as well as the Euro and for the Canadians. So the ensembles take the low a little more to the south, which would put Kentucky, and especially northern Kentucky, more in the snow zone. The operational model is a little further north. So in other words, the ensemble is not exactly agreeing with the operational, and that's not surprising, but we'll see what happens tonight again for the late night run. All right, here are the soundings. Again, this is the ground level, and this is the where planes fly up here aloft. Here's the ground level. This is the NAM model. What you're looking at here is temperature and moisture. Temperature is in red, moisture is in green. When they're close together, you're saturated. And the freezing line is basically right here, 0 degrees. If that line, temperature line especially, goes to the right of the 0, you melt the snowflake. It's snowflake, snowflake, snowflake. Oh, it goes to the right. It melts into a raindrop. And the NAM says to stay a raindrop long enough before it gets back to the freezing area that it'll freeze in contact or freeze in rain. It looks short-lived because just an hour later, it's showing heavy snow. Moderate to heavy snow moving in because we lose that warm layer. Everything's either along or left of 0 at that point. And we continue that for about a 4 or 5 hour period, it looks like, according to the NAM model on Friday morning. Snow amounts vary a little bit. Snow ratio is coming in at about 10 to 1. Given that, the snow total is not overly impressive. About 9, impressive compared to what some of the social media posts I've seen of the maps going out like crazy. You know, it's saying here about 8 to 9 inches for Louisville, with starting off a freezing rain. That's a little more realistic than some of the maps I've seen anyway. GFS, for the same time period, it doesn't show much to the right of 0. It does show a little bit of a bump there, and that little bump indicates maybe a sleet pellet. More of an issue there, ice pellets, and then it goes back into the freezing zone. Short-lived again because it goes to snow an hour later, just like the NAM did. And then snow amounts, ignore all this, by the way, here to your left. We're going to pay attention to this area, and it's giving us 3.4 inches of snow, but at a higher ratio, 14, 15 to 1. So you can see that right now GFS says 3 inches, and the NAM is saying about 9. Pretty huge difference. Euro, of course, is way, way different on all of that. Here's the SREF model. It does show, again, near 100% chance of snow as we head into Wednesday. And then here it shows, starting off with a freeze and rain potential to start with early on Friday morning, and then the snow dominates after that for the Louisville area. And as far as accumulations, follow the black line. The black line here on average, again, we got our quick couple of inches of snow this first wave, then nothing happens. And then when the next one hits Friday morning, and we jump up to about 7 inches of snow as a total accumulation, all right, which means that'd be about 5 inches if you go by the SREF, in addition to the one for Wednesday, a total of about 7 inches. Notice this one member, though, all about self, saying 20 inches. It's all about itself. Let me just stress that. I did take a look at the analogs to compare all the events that we're facing in the past, that we have faced in the past, and compare them to the model data. The NAM's saying the best chance for a winter storm, 4 inches or more, certainly higher in the Appalachians, and then higher chance actually north of 64 on the NAM model's interpretation. GFS indicates more that in the past, in these scenarios, it's been more southwest Indiana, west Kentucky, and right along the river is seeing the higher totals and then higher again in Appalachians. But that would also scream to me either it's a freeze and rain has happened in the past many times in the scenario, or a dry slide has happened. Again, not set in stone. One thing that we will be watching, though, is if we get a snowpack, these are potential low temperatures Saturday night, Sunday morning. Some areas could go below 0 in single digits. It all depends on how deep that snowpack is. All right, guys, that's it for now on System 2. We'll have a lot more on this later tonight and certainly tomorrow. But tonight, our main focus is going to be Wednesday. You see, as we head into Friday, there are a lot more questions than answers. So nothing is in stone. We can just try and give you a general idea that the potential is there for something significant, but the locations of the significant part are very much up in the air. That's it for now. We'll talk soon.